guys, welcome or welcome back. Today's video is going to be about dealing with conflicts. So let's just get on into it. When suffering with anxiety, one of the hardest things to overcome is conflicts. Most people avoid them anyway because they're not exactly a pleasant part of conversations or social interactions, but they do come about and sometimes they're not avoidable. Regardless, when feeling anxious, when you're put in a conflict situation, often you find yourself backing down, or you find yourself at fault, or you'll say something that you don't really mean. And this video is kind of just designed to help you find the ways to overcome that anxiety and get through that conflict as best as possible. Tip number 1, remain calm. Seems obvious, and again, it's also tricky if you're anxious to, remain calm, but staying calm is so important because the moment that you allow yourself to get into that heightened state of emotion, whether it be anxiety, frustration, anger, whatever it is, remaining calm is important when you're dealing with that face-to-face conflict. If you find that you can't stay calm, which again is pretty understandable if you're anxious, remove yourself from the situation. Just temporarily, just until you can calm down. Take a step back, take a breath, walk around a little bit if you need to, and then return when you're feeling a little bit calmer. If you have to keep repeating that, so be it. It takes two to be in conflict. As long as you're not the one instigating it, there is no reason that you have to stick around all the time. You can just remove yourself if you need to. Staying calm gives you that advantage of making sure you are clear in what you say, you are understanding what the other person is saying, and you actually can find a resolution. Tip number 2, try and actually get a mediator involved. A mediator makes sure that you both don't just get into this angry state and that you're just being mean to one another. In conflicts, it's often really easy to just start making it personal. I'm talking conflicts, let's say, like at work or like at school, right? They don't have to be like popularity-based conflicts, right? They can be something that is generally in a team situation where two people have opposing views. I mean, that's life. We all have different views on things. However, it can get heightened into a conflict. In that situation, see if you can get somebody impartial, especially, it's important, somebody impartial involved. They can help guide the conversation, almost like a counselor, but guide it into a productive way so that you can move forward, so you can put things behind you. It might be a case of, end that conversation there and then and just move on. It might be that a resolution needs to be found. Either way, having somebody else there can just stop it escalating into something really, really unpleasant, and again can help you manage your anxiety because you know that you're not then fighting it alone. It can feel like everybody's ganging up on you, so if you know that there is somebody who is impartial, that can then help lessen the anxiety and resolve the conflict. Tip number 3, be honest with yourself and with the other person. One of the hardest things to deal with conflict is actually just being honest about where you stand on a situation. People try to be falsely polite, they try to reword things in a way that might be perceived better, and all of that's fine, but if you're anxious, that becomes really, really difficult. It's hard enough to compose thoughts, but actually just speaking your truth, providing it's not aggressive, speaking your truth will just help get to a resolution quicker. It will take a load off your shoulders so that you can move forwards and manage the anxiety. One of the most bizarre experiences I had was when I just finally had to be honest about a situation that had been bugging me for a long time, and there were so many little conflicts beforehand. But just putting it out there, yes, okay, it wasn't necessarily received the best way. However, it was the truth. There was no covering up anything. You put it out there and then you learn how to move forward from that. It's a really difficult thing to do, to just be honest about what you're feeling and what you're thinking or how you perceive a situation. But once you are, trust me, it gets easier to find a resolution. Tip number 4, cut out toxic people. It's something I mention a lot in my videos, especially when it's to do with social interactions, but some people just like to argue. Some people just like to cause problems, and they're struggling with their thing, and no matter how many times you talk about it, how many times you even find a resolution, there's always another problem. There's always something new that's going on, and that conflict is never ending. In those situations, it's better to just say goodbye and move on. Even if it's work, I think that's one of the most challenging places to deal with conflict. You can talk to your superior. Obviously, if it's in a work environment and you feel that you are being harassed slightly by somebody else, or you feel that things aren't fair, speak to your superior if you can. But if it's personal, just cut the people out. You don't need to speak to them. You don't need to engage. Again, it takes two people to have a conflict. If you remove yourself from that situation, there is no conflict. You don't need to find a resolution, because the resolution is just leaving them. Tip number 5, which is to do more with the physical aspect, but find something to fidget with or tense and release your muscles. When you're in a conflict, if it's unavoidable for whatever reason, you notice that your body starts to tense up because of the anxiety. If you feel that happening, see if you can fidget with something to just distract you during that horrible moment. If there is nothing to fidget with, try and tense and release your muscles. Again, you can make fists, hold for like 10 seconds, and then release. That will help instigate relaxation in your body and then in your mind. Sometimes it's not that avoidable, with conflict. Sometimes you have to go through it for whatever reason. Sometimes you're in a situation. Again, that goes back to point 1 of try and remain calm. But if for whatever reason you find yourself really feeling anxious and you can't get away, just try and relax your body as much as you can. Forget about the conflict as much as you can for the moment. If people aren't willing to hear you out or reconvene at a later time when you're feeling better, then just focus on helping yourself feel better in that moment. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, leave a like, drop in the comments any other advice you may have for dealing with conflicts. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.